Hi everyone, and welcome to our fast learning exercises. Today we're going to practice 5 different ways of upgrading your vocabulary in no time. And these are exercises, of course, that you can also do at home. So why don't we start with exercise number 1? By the way, before we start, what's the biggest challenge you face when learning new vocabulary? Is it A, you don't have enough time? Is it B, it's difficult for you to remember the new words? C, you learn them but you don't know how to use them naturally in conversation? Or D, it's difficult to expand beyond the basic vocabulary? Comment below with A, B, C, or D, and I'll give you tips for each challenge at the end. The first step we're going to look at today is identifying your core vocabulary needs. Upgrading your vocabulary starts with focusing on words that you actually need. If you're in sales, in marketing, or finance, try to focus on words that are relevant to your work. But don't just learn one word. Learn the entire family of that word. For example, let's take the word to analyze. I know that all of you know this word, but I want you to be careful of its pronunciation as it changes when you transform it from a noun into a verb. So the noun is analysis. For example, we conducted a thorough analysis of the market, but the verb becomes to analyze. We need to analyze this data before making a decision. And the adjective is analytical. We need to use her analytical skills for this project. Let's practice some further words here. How about we find the family of words connected to the word innovation? So innovation is a noun. What is the verb? The verb is to innovate. And what is the adjective? How would you describe a person who innovates? This person is an innovator. Let's look at some examples. The innovation in AI technology is transforming industries. To stay ahead, companies must innovate constantly. The company's innovative approach to problem solving sets it apart. Steve Jobs was a true innovator in the tech industry. Next up is the word implementation. For example, the implementation of this strategy will take 6 months. What's the verb? To implement. We need to implement new policies to improve efficiency. What is the adjective? Implementable. For example, this is a practical plan and implementable across all departments. Or we can talk about the person who is an implementer. The project manager was the chief implementer of the new system. Negotiation. The negotiation with the suppliers was tough but fruitful. What is the verb? To negotiate. We need to negotiate better terms with our clients. What about the adjective? We have 2 adjectives here. Negotiable. The terms of the contract are negotiable, so we should be flexible. And how would we describe the person who negotiates? He is the negotiator. He is a skilled negotiator who always gets the best deal. Facilitation. The facilitation of the meeting was crucial for its success. What's the verb? To facilitate. We need someone to facilitate the discussion and keep things on track. What are the adjectives? Facilitative. For example, her facilitative leadership style helped the team achieve their goals, and the person is called a facilitator. A professional facilitator will ensure the workshop runs smoothly. And the last word is diversification. Diversification of products is essential for risk management. What's the verb? To diversify. We should diversify our investments to minimize risks. And what are the adjectives? You could say a diversified portfolio protects against market fluctuations, and the person who does it is a diversifier. As a diversifier, he focuses on expanding into different markets. Once you've identified the vocabulary you need, the next step is to use these words in context. Practice these words in real-life situation, because using words in context is key to making them stick. For example, let's say you've learned the word to collaborate. In a meeting, you could say, we should collaborate with the marketing team on this project. In a presentation, you could use the noun, collaboration between departments will drive innovation. And in an email, you could write, I'd like to collaborate with you on this initiative. By practicing words in different contexts, you'll be able to recall them faster and use them with confidence. How would you use the following words and their families in context? The word implementation. You could say, our human resources department needs to implement a new strategy if it wants to keep its top talent in the company, because people are getting really disappointed. How would you use the word implementation or to implement or implementer? Let's move on to the word negotiation. My sales manager is a very poor negotiator. Considering his experience, I expected more from him. How would you use that in a sentence that's related to your daily work? And let's go to diversification. We need to diversify our investments to decrease the risk of losing all your money. How about you? How would you use this word? If you need to pause this video and write down some sentences, do so you can practice them even further. The next step is to upgrade basic verbs to advanced verbs. What do we mean by this? Most of you will use simple verbs in your conversations. Verbs, for example, like the verb to do. How can we upgrade the simple verb to do something? You could say to complete it, to create, to practice. Let's see some examples. If you wanted to say, you have to do this assignment by Friday, instead you could replace do with complete and say, you have to complete this assignment by Friday. Or if you wanted to say, I need to do this presentation by next week, you could upgrade it and say, I have to create this presentation by next week. Don't those sound much better sentences? How would you change the verb to show in the following sentences? Number 1 says, the data shows a clear shift in customer behavior. What other verb could you use instead of shows? A nice verb you could use is demonstrates. The data demonstrates a clear shift in consumer behavior. Let's try another one. This exercise shows us how to deliver great customer results. How could you replace the word show here? Again, you could say demonstrates or reveals. This exercise reveals how to deliver great customer results. What about the third one? The graph shows the importance of diversity in profit making. Of course, you can say demonstrates or reveals again. Is there another verb you could use, another synonym? The graph illustrates the importance of diversity in profit making. How about we move on to some phrasal verbs, because a good thing to do, a nice thing to do, is also create synonyms of your verbs using phrasal verbs. How would you replace these verbs in the following sentences? Number 1 says, we have to develop an idea for a new electric car. What phrasal verb, so a verb with a preposition or with 2 prepositions, would you use in this case? To come up with an idea. So we have to come up with an idea for a new electric car. So to create or to develop an idea, to come up with an idea. Let's go to sentence number 2. The meeting was postponed until next week. So it's not going to happen today, it's going to happen next week. What's a phrasal verb for postponed? To put off. The meeting was put off until next week. And number 3, the meeting was cancelled due to severe weather conditions. What's a phrasal verb to replace cancelled? So postponed was put off. Cancelled is cool off. The meeting was called off due to severe weather conditions. The next step to accomplish is to master words outside your comfort zone. To truly elevate your English and stand out in meetings and business conversations, you need to step outside your comfort zone to stop using the words you feel comfortable with and embrace more advanced words that really leave an impact. Even I use this technique. When I read or listen to a word I love, but I don't use very often. Let me give you an example with one word that I encountered a few days ago. Let's take the word savant as an example. I actually listened to this in a podcast. Savant refers to someone with exceptional expertise or skills in a specific area, but with potential deficiencies, weaknesses in other aspects, like emotional intelligence or social skills. This is most commonly associated with something called the savant syndrome, where an individual exhibits extraordinary abilities in a specific field, often alongside developmental or cognitive challenges. However, in business settings, savant is usually used positively to describe someone with rare expertise in a particular area without implying a lack of emotional intelligence unless it's otherwise specified. To avoid any negative connotation, you could pair the term with other descriptors, like a strategic savant. That sounds positive. A business savant, focusing on their expertise. Let's take this word, the word savant, and put it into a sentence. We brought in a tech savant to develop our new software program. We need a savant to help us determine our future direction. It's obvious that Jerry is a savant whom we should retain in the company. How would you use the word savant? Here are a few more advanced words that can make your speech or writing really stand out. The word quintessential, let me pronounce it again, quintessential, refers to the most perfect example of something. For example, she is the quintessential leader. She's driven, innovative, and empathetic, a perfect example of the perfect leader. Word number 2, ubiquitous. Let me say it again, ubiquitous. This means that something is present everywhere. For example, technology has become ubiquitous in every aspect of business. And the third word is inception. The inception is the beginning of something. For example, since the inception of our company, we've focused on customer experience. By using some of these words, some of these profound words in a presentation, in a business meeting, you can elevate the impact of your message by 100%. And the last step in this process is to learn idioms, expressions connected to specific areas. Idioms make your language more dynamic, but there are so many, and most of my students say it's impossible to remember them. So here's a great trick. The trick is to learn a few idioms each time connected to specific fields. For example, there are many idioms that remind us of sports or weather conditions. Here are a few sports-related idioms. Number 1, to hit the ground running means to start something and be immediately successful. For example, the new team hit the ground running with their sales targets. Number 2, to step up to the plate means to take responsibility or action. For example, it's time for you to step up to the plate and lead this project. And number 3, to throw in the towel means to give up. Even when things got tough, they refused to throw in the towel. Now let's look at some idioms connected to the weather. Number 1, the tide is turning means that things are changing. For example, it looks like the tide is turning in favor of sustainable solutions. Number 2, a perfect storm is a situation where everything goes wrong at once. For example, the financial crisis was a perfect storm of market failures. And number 3, under the weather means feeling unwell. For example, our team lead is under the weather, so I take over today's meeting. This way, it's easier to remember the idioms and you can use them in a variety of business situations, whether describing a project's success, a change in the market, or even a tough day. Idioms add flavor to your speech and make it more relatable. Upgrading your vocabulary doesn't have to be overwhelming. By identifying the right words, using them in context, swapping basic verbs to advanced ones or phrasal verbs, mastering profound words, and incorporating some idioms, you will see fast results. So what step are you going to start with today? Let me know in the comments of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to Speak Like a Leader for more powerful language tips and many, many more videos on a weekly basis to improve your business English skills. Have a great day.